Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining me. I'm going to be talking to you today about 8 natural tips for allergy relief. My name is Dr. Rupa Chari. I'm a medical doctor, board certified in internal medicine in an integrative medical practice at the Chari Center of Health in Encinitas, California. And spring is a beautiful time of year. The flowers are in bloom, but it can also be a challenging time, especially if you suffer from allergies, whether it's the sneezing or the itching and watery eyes, the postnasal drip that leads to like a chronic cough, or you may be having congestion in your nose or a stuffy nose or runny nose. And all of these symptoms and sinus congestion can lead to making you feel miserable. And then you need to reach for either antihistamines for temporary relief or nasal steroid sprays. Well, I'd like to address the root cause of what may be causing the allergies and use natural treatments that are safe and effective so that you can enjoy the springtime just like anyone else and without having to suffer. So what's interesting to note is that your allergies are actually linked to the health of your gut. And the reason being is our gut lining is actually responsible for 70 to 80% of our immune system, because our gut is basically our first line of defense for whatever we may be eating or drinking. And the same lining that is in our gut is also the same lining that is in your sinuses and your respiratory system. So we tend to think of our body in pieces and parts, but it's actually one big system. And that's how the gut and your sinuses are actually connected. So the first step is reducing what may be causing chronic inflammation in your body. And that could be linked to gluten. And these are, wheat products that may be found in breads and pastas and cereals. And there's many reasons why wheat is becoming such an issue for so many people of all ages. One is the way that the wheat is being bred, it's shorter, stockier to give a greater yield. But in that process, we've introduced so many new proteins into our grains that our immune system doesn't recognize. And it's been said there's up to 90% more gluten in the grains that we have nowadays than before. And you can think of gluten as the glue that kind of binds the grain together. So when we're eating our grains nowadays, it's almost can be like eating rubber. It's very stressful on the digestive system and can lead to a lot of imbalance in the good and bad bacteria and inflammation. And our gut bacteria really determines so much of the quality of our health. They're responsible for producing many vitamins, for breaking down toxic byproducts of what we're eating, and they're responsible for really the health of our immune system. So when that balance between the good and bacteria is thrown off by what we may be eating that's causing inflammation in our body, that can then lead to a host of other immune system issues, including allergies. So by minimizing the amount of processed foods that you eat, especially with wheat, that can be very helpful. In addition to avoiding corn and soy because they've been genetically modified, and dairy. Now, even in the past, in Ayurveda, which is an ancient medical science from India, dairy was known to cause mucus. And nowadays, with the factory farms and the way the animals are being treated, the animals are given antibiotics and hormones and GMO feed or genetically modified corn and soy to eat. So the animals are getting sick, and then humans as well. So I'm not saying you have to stop it completely, but try to minimize, wheat, corn, soy, and dairy as much as possible, because that can minimize the amount of inflammation in your gut. And actually, when you minimize the amount of inflammation in your gut, then the good bacteria can thrive and flourish. And then that will affect the balance of your immune system as well. So that's one step. The second step is then you can introduce, more garlic and onions into your diet. And garlic and onions have many, many health benefits, including antioxidant benefits. Onions also have quercetin, which helps decrease inflammation. And they also help to thin out the mucus and secretions that may be coming from our sinuses and nose from our respiratory system in general, so it can be very beneficial. And then there's apple cider vinegar, and particularly the brand called Bragg's. And you can mix like a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar to a glass of water and add some honey in there and drink that first thing in the morning. That can boost your immune system and also thin the secretions. And that can be very helpful to some people. Now, again, some people are very sensitive to apple cider vinegar, so you're going to have to see what works for you. And the next tip is using Monica honey. Monica is a wonderful honey from New Zealand that has many antibacterial, antiviral, antifungal properties. It's being used even in many burn units to speed up the healing process. And for me and my family personally, with my mother and brother Deepak, every morning we have some Monica honey, mix a teaspoon of honey in a cup of warm water, and drink that in the morning. Now keep in mind, honey in general is wonderful, and you can use any type, and ideally get those that are even locally grown, so you can support your local farmers as well. And then you can add Monica honey as well. You're kind of combining different honeys from time to time is very beneficial for your health. And then there's probiotics, and you can get it from your local health food store. Probiotics are very beneficial in increasing the amount of good bacteria. And you can try different brands. It's actually beneficial to try different brands because they have different strains in them and different amounts. But ultimately, it's going to go back to really building up the health of your gut, because each and every one of us has a unique universe of beneficial bacteria that are unique to you. Just as we have a unique thumbprint or even tongue print, we also have unique bacteria that are very beneficial just for you. So by eating a lot of fiber, good salads, lots of vegetables, that will give the food to increase the amount of good bacteria that you have in your system. Then the good bacteria will help to overtake the bad bacteria. So make sure you're getting a good amount of fiber in your diet. Of course, there's also yogurt and kefir that can also be beneficial as well, and sauerkraut. And then there's essential oils, particularly eucalyptus, and lavender is very good. And there's different tonics that you can get from the health food store, like with eucalyptus or menthol. And what you can do is put some on your hand, rub your hands together, inhale through your nose, and breathe out through your mouth 5 times or 3 times, and then breathe in through your mouth while your hands are being cupped over your mouth and nose, and breathe out. Breathe in through your mouth and out through your nose 3 to 5 times. It's good to do that because that saturates basically the mucus lining and membranes of your sinuses, and that can be very helpful as well in kind of decreasing the amount of secretions and boosting your immune system. So essential oils can be very helpful. And then also there's nasal irrigation, and there's different products you can use. Neilmed, Neilmed, is something you can get from your local health food store, or the drug stores, of course. They all carry Neilmed, and that is basically a saline solution powder, that you can mix into the container and add some distilled water and use nasal irrigation. I personally like to use this brand. It's called NasoPure, and that's NasoPure.com, nasopure.com. And it was developed, this particular nasal irrigation was designed by a brilliant ENT physician. And I also like their salt solution. So basically what you do is once you get the solution, you just rinse it out in very hot water, add distilled water up to the line here, and add the packet, the NasoPure packet in there, and shake it up really well. And the design is very good. It actually works better at nasal irrigation, cleaning out the sinuses, getting rid of the excess pollen. It's good to do this once a day, and on their website, they show you exactly how to do it. But it's great for kids, adults. It's really easy to use, and I use it personally, and my patients recommend it to my patients as well, and they've had great benefits. And then also, steaming is very good, either boiling some hot water and putting your face over the bowl or pan, That helps to thin out the nasal secretions and also gets rid of the excess pollen. And even, taking a bath where you're having a lot of steam, that can be helpful as well as you inhale that. So I hope these tips have been beneficial to you. Please comment and love to hear from you. Hope all is well, and please stay tuned for my next Facebook Live video. Take care and bye for now.